Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. I'm Mahmoud Kareem. Today I'll be presenting on the blockchain technology in the maritime trade. So first I begin with, what is blockchain? Blockchain is nothing more than a digital or binary record in a ledger or transactions. So unlike the traditional ledger, a blockchain is stored in a collective fashion and with all the participants in a node or in a network. Each transaction is stored uniquely with others in a unit of data. It's called a block. So that's how all the block connects to a chain from the start to the end. And this block securely, we call it a cryptography, linked to each other, forming a chain. So if you can see the pictorial representation of the blockchain, it is building up from the base and it's going further as some information from the different participants in any transaction added on. So it actually builds up through the end of the node. So the distinction in a blockchain or this breakthrough is every information is stored in a very unique way. There is a lesser chance of manipulation or kind of fabrication or any kind of unwanted elements. So that creates a unique node of transmission from start to end. So this is the illustration how it works. It starts from the user and the block represents every unit transaction. It's been created and it is broadcasted to all the nodes in the network. And every nodes validate the previous nodes. There is a unique identifier and that should match with the stream of the nodes from the start to end, and any further communication or transaction or flow of that data that added on, that is building on the next course until the end. And once the transaction or a flow of information is completed and it is subsequently verified. So the emergence of the blockchain technology in transportation and logistics in a trade or in a say about in international trade or maritime trade, that we can say there's a multitude of entities or organizations involved, since the information of the product or the services travels from the origin to the destination, and each origin or the entity has its own version of uniqueness about the truth about the product or services journey. And there's a multiple ledgers potential that creates a potential error, fraud, delays, and inefficiency, because each entity is keeping their own record in a very own way. So what does the blockchain do? It reduces the complex, the bilateral communication and the informational linkage and the leakage with a single shared tamper-proof ledger that records the transaction as they are. And the blockchain enables various entities or actors to share control over access and to and from the evolution of the data. It is more fluid, it reduces cost and reduces the waste of resources. So in this part we'll talk about the usage of the blockchain technology in the transportation and logistics. There are four readily available ways to apply blockchain in the shipping world. The first one is shipment tracking. This is unlike the traditional methods of tracking. which is slow and kind of erroneous. It's not actually depending on the leggedness of the data update, but the blockchain, since every node's connected to a neat and complete network, there is no leggedness of the data, and it's a seamless. So anyone can access the data anytime and from anywhere. The breakthrough that's already surfaced that we are seeing the smart bills of lading. So no longer it's a paper based. So through the blockchain from the shipper, from the seller to the buyer, and in between the entities, so about the banks, the insurer, the the vessel owner, the shipping agent, so all are actually knitted together, and this is more reliable. So about all the parties knows that what is the stage of a contract of carriage. This is the bill of lading, and it is actually complying as per the contract between the parties. So the blockchain has a kind of breakthrough in producing the bill of lading. We call it the electronic bill of lading without much paperwork, much administrative work, and with a shorter turnaround time. And another feature of the blockchain that is applicable to the shipping world is the smart contract, the contract between the entities, the different entities, the shipper, the banks, the insurer, and the buyer or consignee. So this is the research shows that like 20% of the operational budgets span due to the poor information and data management, but the smart contract can address that important issues like the payment procedure and the processing and shipment tracking and all these are the paperless. And the last one is the tracking and the tracing the fuel quality. So since the total maritime industry is moving forward more greener energy, so less fossil fuel, less GHG, greenhouse gas emission, carbon emission. So the blockchain technology then trace out the quality of the fuel, and because the system is made up like this, from the very beginning, every purchase or every procurement is recorded, and it's quite traceable to the root. So these are the breakthrough in the advent of the blockchain, and this graph depicting the benefits of the blockchain in the logistics. So if you can see, this is the enhanced documentation, efficient delivery route, and then goods authenticity certification, fraud prevention, and there is elimination of the middleman. So it is straight away from node to node, and also the smart contract development. And the processes of the logistics, you can see from the factory to the consignee in between. Uh, there's a supplier, the vendors, and the logistics 3PL or 4PL operators. They're the trucking, the truckers, the long haul or the short haul, and the warehouse storage of the finished goods to the ultimate consignee. So this technology combining all the entities in a single seamless network. So the document transaction that we can see in the bottom, the the loading certificates, the batch number of the product, the shipment delivery date, and they have a packing list by the shipper, the order number, the batch number, and finally the contract of carriage. Transport title of a document is the bill of lading. The smart contract is there, and the ultimately delivery signature, if it's a reefer, the temperature and the shipment status. And finally, on the transportation side, the routing instruction, the pick date, packaging details, and finally the receipt date, the invoice number, customer ID, the delivery receipt. So from the start to end, the quality of the product and the quality of the data transmitted throughout can be easily traced. Any temperament, any kind of, what do you call, any kind of manipulation or kind of fraudulent activities can easily traced out. If something is broken, it's not matching, that point can be easily traced out that where it took place. So this is the beauty of the blockchain, to have a seamless data transmission of the of any trade from the start to end. So this is the nodes, the matrix of the blockchain, where different entities we can see: the shipper, the banks, the insurer, the CNF, and also the banks and the consignee. So how the actually data transmitted between the different nodes, I think it shows in different color. So the red one is the sales and purchase contract. When the first contract, a deal is made, so we transmit that kind of information, and the bank is involved because of the for the international trade, the LC is involved, letter of credit. So the issuing and advising bank, they transmit the data in accordance with the previous the block of this transaction, that is the contract, the sales and purchase contract. And on the third stage comes the carriage contract, and between the contract between, it might be in co-term, it might be FOB or CNF, depending, or the CIF, depending on the term the responsibility passes through. It might be shipper or the consignee. So and if it is insured, so the commodity is insured, so the insurer comes into play. It might be the P&I from the vessel owner side. So all the parties are all put together in a seamless communication matrix without any flaws between the data transmission from stage 1 to stage 2 to the last stage. So these are the advantage and the opportunities that we discussed, that we will further elaborate in the next part. The advantage of the blockchain technology, the opportunity to streamline the global supply chain operation, that is fully digitalized global trade. And of course, we talked about the bill of lading. It's a paperless currently in the advent of the blockchain technology, and the ability to share information securely between the organizations. It's a greater in the transparency, visibility, and also it's traceable. And finally, the most important part, in a complex, ever-changing uh, trade paradigm, the global paradigm. So the most important things, the fraud must be detected and should be prevented. So since the world is moving towards more digitalized arena, so this technology brings that kind of feature where the less human input or human intervention is required. But as usual, this technology comes with a risks and limitation. The limitations are the distributed jurisdiction and laws. So blockchain goes without a boundary. So sometimes there's some kind of overlapping of the local jurisdiction, or we can say the law of the land. So as each node in a blockchain is potentially located in different part of the world, and the blockchain ledgers do not have that clearly identified location for each transaction, it is very susceptible to the laws, to the local or the international laws, since that part is not well defined, because every transaction is taking place in might be taking place in the different locations, and also the applicability of the law. So the limitations in identifying or in need of the proper definition in terms of the legal framework to ensure the legal validity and the responsibility and the accountability of the parties, and also the data privacy. So since it aimed to prevent fraudulency, but in a world of kind of uh, technological advance, not in a good way, uh, data theft can take place, or data privacy might be in danger. So the challenges of the transportation and logistics sector in terms of the blockchain technology, this exclusion from the coverage, and it relates to the P&I cloud rules generally do not cover the liabilities, costs, or expenses arising from the use of an electronic trading system. So the whole mechanism or modus operandi is not developed as per this technology demand or the way it does. Other than approved electronic trading system, to that extent, such liabilities, costs, as expenses would not have that arisen under a paper trading system. So there is a major challenges and the trade facilitated by the blockchain. And there's another one is rigidity. It's encoding and capturing legal concepts and terminology, force majeure clauses, indemnities, or the best endeavors. There's some rigidity on these types of situation, and that comes with the coding difficulties, unforeseen events that we talked about, the fraud, also the event occurring after the contract. That means any unanticipated event that is not part of the contract that may make the performance illegal or radically different from that of the original one. So these are the limitations, challenges that the blockchain technology is posing. So in this part, we'll tell about how Musk is using the blockchain technology. We all know Musk is the leader in the maritime trade, the liner trade, and it has tried to just try to remain ahead of their race in the terms of technological breakthrough in the maritime industry. So, in collaboration with the IBM, it launched the TradeLens, the portal for the blockchain, in 2018. So, the main aim is to produce the electronic bill of lading, and so that the whole the issuance, the transaction of bill of lading remains paperless. So what it did, it aimed to open a neutral supply chain platform underpinned by the blockchain technology in collaboration with the IBM. In that platform, the parties can access real-time shipping data and documents. It enables digital collaboration across multiple parties in international trade, exporter, importer, customs brokers, and also the third parties such as customs, government agencies, and the NGOs. And that electronic bill of lading, it's P&I approved, so it's under coverage of the P&I in March 2021. So it's a full-fledged insured legal document. and more than 400 electronic bills of lading issued to date. So far, this is all about from my side. So we talked about one of the breakthrough in the maritime industry, and that's actually fueled by the advent of some technologies like the blockchain. Hopefully, that helped in understanding a bit how blockchain is evolving in the maritime trade and what it does. For any of your queries, how I prepare this data, you can reach out to me. So you can put a comment in the YouTube for any of your queries, or you can reach out via directly. I'm in the WhatsApp group, so you can reach out directly. So thanks very much. Stay safe. Good night.